Okay, this is just a quick practice video for our part 1 of making the cupcake for Square One Art. And we are going to make a value scale just using our pencil. You should have noticed, or you should have seen in our slideshow that the value scale includes the lights and darks of a color, the tints and shades. And so when you're working with color, you'll be mixing white with the color to create tints, and then you'll be mixing black with the color to create shades. But we are going to be practicing just with pencil. So I want you to get used to varying the pressure that you apply to your pencil to make your pencil appear lighter or darker. So I want you just to start in the middle of your paper at the bottom, because we'll use this part of the paper for something else, with a medium value. Value is the light and dark of a color. So you're applying just medium pressure. Just think of it, as you normally would if you were writing or drawing. Sometimes it helps to hold your pencil on the side like this. I feel like that helps me to cover a larger space, and I also feel like it helps me to work quickly and to control the pressure a little bit better. So I would consider that pretty much a medium value. And if you see that there are some variations in it, some places where it's a little bit lighter or darker, you can also take your finger and just rub over that to blend it in. So you might want to do that when you're all finished. Just remember that it does get your fingers dirty, so be careful if you're touching other stuff. So from the middle, we're going to work this way, getting lighter, and this way getting darker. So remember, these are your tints, although we are not actually mixing white with it, and these are your shades. So when I get all the way to this side, it should appear white. All the way over here is just as dark as I can go with my pencil. So I'm just gonna speed it up so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. And I'd like for you to try that out at the bottom of your paper for this assignment. Okay, so there's my value scale. You can see that medium value working towards as dark as I could get it and working towards as light as I could go. So I have about 3 to 4 values on the sides of my medium value. Now we're just gonna do a little practice cupcake just to kind of get you prepared for next week. So I want you to point to the middle here of your paper, and I want you to draw a wide zigzag because we're going to draw it like it is made in the accordion folded tins, that you would use if you were making cupcakes at home. So a wide zigzag right in the middle, and then the sides taper in, which means that they get smaller as they go towards the bottom. And then in order to make it look more three-dimensional, we're going to curve at the bottom. Don't draw it as a straight line, make it a curve. And here, where each of these points are, we're going to make a suggestion of a line. It does not have to be a really solid line. It just needs to kind of make us see that it's folded here. So some of them might be solid, some of them might appear a little bit broken. Okay. And then usually you can see a little curve of the cupcake coming out from your wrapper. And then we're going to start the icing, and we're going to make it a sort of swirly bakery style icing. But if you want to, you could make yours more of a rounded top, like what you might actually make at home. And that last slide that showed a few cupcakes of Wayne Thiebaud and another image of T.M. Brooks, those gave you some different ideas of types of icing. So I always think it's a good idea to mark where you want to stop so you kind of know where you're headed. So I'm going to put a mark right here. And then I'm going to make a cloud line, bump, bump, bump up to that little mark. And then sort of pull it out and hang a letter C off the end. And then bump, bump, bump back down. Okay, so now we've got the basic shape, and we just want to add a little bit of shading in order to make it look just a little bit more realistic. So imagine your light is coming this way, and we need that horizon line or that ground line to show that our cupcake is sitting on something, not floating around. You could make a plate if you want to here. I'm not going to because I don't feel like I have a whole lot of space. So what I'm going to start with is the shadow. So if my light shines this way, my cupcake blocks out the light, and then the shadow will come out this way. So your shadow goes in the same direction that the light is pointing in. And it should touch the bottom of the cupcake because the cupcake is what's creating the shadow. And a lot of times you'll notice that shadows appear darker where they're closer to the object that makes them. So I'm just going to come around and make this one of my darker values. So here we're using our value scale, applying a lot of pressure right here and then getting lighter as we work our way out. And you can play around with that a little bit to sort of get a smoother transition from dark to light. Okay, and it doesn't have to be so perfectly rounded as I've got that. It could be a little jagged. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little bit of shading also to the cupcake tin. Where it folds in, that's the points that are going up. It would be a little bit shaded, so I'm just going to add some of a shadow in here. Every place where it's pointing up. And then, you know, every now and then you just gotta kind of stand back and look at it and see what you think. But keep it simple. We don't want to get too difficult with this. And on the icing, you would have some shading where it dips in, because these parts that pop out are going to shield these parts from getting as much light. So you would tend to see a little bit of darkness where it's popping in. And I'm just pressing lightly. And right here, and this whole side would be a little bit darker, and then right here you would definitely have a little bit of a shadow or some shading. This whole side might appear a little bit darker. And we know that this is the cake, so I'm going to shade it in a darker value as well. This whole part here would be part of the cake. And this, guys, is just meant to be practice, so don't get stressed out about it. I really want you to have fun with it. Next week when we are working on our cupcake, we'll be using color, so it'll be a little bit different. So just have fun with this one, learning about value. And I want to just sort of soften this bottom edge. You're just trying to allow the shading to show the contour, that sort of outline of your icing. And we could go a little bit deeper with it even as far as the shade or the values here go, but I'm going to keep it light just so that you kind of get a good idea. You guys have to excuse my kids in the background watching TV. Okay, so we've got some shadows and some shading to make it look a little more three-dimensional. And so when you guys are done, you can take a picture of it and submit it to me for practice for part 1 of this assignment, and you'll get credit for that day, and then you'll get credit next week as well. Okay, I hope you had fun. Bye.